Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiaojun in Beijing. In today's program, we are bringing you a folk story, one of the best known and most romantic in the Chinese literature tradition. It's the tale of the herd boy and the weaving girl. Once upon a time, a beautiful fairy named Zhinü fell in love with an honest and kind-hearted fellow named Niu Lang. One day, Zhinü, who was famous in heaven for her weaving, came in secret to earth, where she lived happily with her beloved Niu Lang and later their children. Unfortunately, the Emperor of Heaven found out about the lovers' secret life together. Angry, he ordered that they live for eternity on opposite sides of the Milky Way. But the magpies, pitying the lovers' plight, have built a bridge across the Milky Way on the same day every year, so that they can meet. That day is the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, and it has become the traditional lovers' holiday in China known as Qixi.
In late July 2007, Hong Shuling, Doctor of Literature and Professor of Chinese Language at Taiwan University, received a letter from Professor Ye Tao, Director of the Folklore Institute of Shandong University. In it, she was invited to attend the first session of the forum on Herd Boy and Weaving Girl, two devoted lovers in a long-told Chinese folktale. The forum would be jointly sponsored by the Chinese Folklore Society and the Folklore Institute of Shandong University, and it would be held on August 15, 2007 in Yiyuan County in the municipality of Zibo, Shandong Province. Professor Hong Shuling is a famous scholar and poet in Taiwan who has made outstanding contributions to the study of Chinese folk literature. When Hong Shuling obtained her MA degree in Taiwan in 1988 at the age of 26, her dissertation was entitled Research on Herd Boy and Weaving Girl, and it brought her to prominence in her field. She would be the only participant in the forum to have published a major academic piece of writing on this particular subject.
我研究牛郎织女已经20多年了，那这是我第一次接到专题会议的邀请，这次会议大概也可以算是全世界第一次所以它非常有意义，也让我非常兴奋。那我在这看这个开会地点，山东沂源，没听过。再问我先生，因为他的老家在山东，他也说没听过。那么这个没听过的地方在哪呢？还有它怎么会跟牛郎织女有关系呢？
Yiyuan County is located in the mountains in the middle of Shandong Province, and the famous Yihe River originates in the county. The mountains in Yiyuan County are covered with thick vegetation, and the county boasts the highest mean altitude among all the counties in Shandong. Hong Shuling had never expected to actually see a sight she had only ever dreamt of.
我研究牛郎织女的时候，一直以为那只是人们心中的想象，从来没有想过它会有一个确定的地点。等到我到山东沂源县，就感到非常的惊喜，原来真的有一个明确的故事的地点。那我们参观了织女洞，还有牛郎庙。登上织女洞的时候，你往下看，一条银河就在你的眼前，风景非常的美丽。我想，难怪织女会选在这个地方下凡。
The place Hong Shuling refers to as a fairyland in the human world is Daxian Mountain in Yanya Township, a dozen kilometers or so southeast of the county town of Yiyuan. Weaving Girl Cave is on the eastern side of Daxian Mountain. The source of the Yihe River, which flows through the entire region of the Yimeng Mountains, is located at the foot of the mountain. Across the Yihe River in the peaceful village of Mioliangguan is Herd Boy Temple. Weaving Girl Cave is hidden on the mountain among luxuriant trees, and below the cave is the Yihe River. Together, the river and the cave form a fairyland-like setting in which the love story of herd boy and weaving girl takes place. The story of herd boy and weaving girl is one of the 4 most popular legends in China. In fact, it is known to almost all Chinese. The story goes as follows. After herd boy's parents die, he is bullied by his elder brother and his brother's wife. Later, his elder brother and his wife give herd boy an old ox and drive him out of the house. One day, Weaving Girl, a fairy maiden who is also an excellent weaver, comes to a river on earth to bathe, along with several other celestial maidens. The old ox leads herd boy to the river and steals away with Weaving Girl's clothes. Without her clothes, Weaving Girl cannot return to heaven, and so she marries herd boy. Later, she gives birth to a son and a daughter, and herd boy and weaving girl live happily together, growing their own grain and weaving their own cloth. The good days, however, do not last long. When the heavenly king hears that weaving girl has eloped, he becomes angry and sends heavenly guards to bring her back to the heavenly palace. By this time, the ox is old and dying. Knowing this, it tells herd boy to clothe himself in its hide and go to meet weaving girl in heaven. As instructed by the old ox, herd boy carries his children on a shoulder pole and makes his way up to heaven. Just as he's about to catch up with weaving girl, however, the heavenly empress takes off her hairpin and sweeps it across the sky. With that, a river appears and separates herd boy and weaving girl. The couple can do nothing but look at each other in tears. The heavenly king is moved by the unswerving love of herd boy and weaving girl, and he permits them to meet once every year on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month. On this one day, numerous magpies come to the heavenly river to form a bridge so that herd boy and weaving girl can cross the river and be reunited.
This romantic tale has been told for many generations, but it was beautiful Yiyuan County really the place where the story originated.
Today, scholars of Chinese folk literature in China and abroad hold that in remote times, Chinese made up the love story based on their worship of stars in the night sky. According to specialists, before the calendar appeared, people differentiated the seasons by observing the changes of the sun, moon, and the stars, and they gave every important star a beautiful name so that they could remember them easily.
古代的人认为，就是说每一个月只到了一定的时候，天上的星星的这种就会发生相应的变化，就是它的位置、它的亮度。那么的话呢，7月呢是这个主这个妇女主这个织布的，那么而这一个月份呢，刚好这个星星，也就是说这个织女星就在天上，到了已经是在正东方了。 那么这个时候已经变得很亮，而且在正东方，在快到天的正中，所以大家因为当这个时间出现的时候，正好是7月，而7月又是妇女们织布的时候开始的时节，所以就把这一颗星呢叫做织女星。
Ancient Chinese named the brightest star in the east in the 7th lunar month Weaving Girl Star. It follows then that there must have been a herd boy star. Which star is it?
牵牛星呢，它是主8月的。那么8月份的时候，这个织女星逐渐的西沉，而且逐渐的暗淡，而牵牛星呢，慢慢的上来了，逐渐的亮起来。而到了8月份的时候呢，却是国家要挑选哪些牵牛用来祭祀祖先，用哪一些牛来祭祀这个上帝。那么这个要把最好的牛挑出来。那么这个时候呢，真是在挑选这个牺牲，也就是牛的这个祭祀用的牛的时候，所以的话呢，把这一个月份的 这个最亮的这个星星是标志着这一个月份的星星，这叫做牵牛。
The Nanyang Museum of Han Stone Drawings in Henan Province retains the largest number of stone drawings from the Han Dynasty in China. The collection includes a chart of Vega and Altair. Under the 3 stars of Altair, a man pulls an ox, and in the middle of the 4 stars of Vega, a woman kneels. Another precious stone drawing from the Han Dynasty 2,000 years ago can be seen in Changqing, Shandong Province inside Xiaotang Shan Hall at the Han Tombs. It depicts a weaving woman below Vega and bears the image of Altair, but it does not feature the herd boy. The drawing shows Vega and Altair as 2 independent constellations, and it does not refer to the famous love story. From Han Dynasty stone drawings, we know that during the Han Dynasty it was common to name a star after a person or an animal. Vega and Altair came to be known as Weaving Girl and Herd Boy only after China entered the era in which men were responsible for field work and women were responsible for weaving. Eventually, someone made up the love story of Weaving Girl and Herd Boy, and it took shape as the story we know today. But when did the love story about Weaving Girl and Herd Boy first appear?
牛郎织女的故事大概是什么时候开始成型的呢？就说刚才说了，就说一定要等到牵牛由牛变成了人之后，这个故事才有可能产生。那么这个时间是在什么年代呢？从现在我们看来，就是说我们找不到这个故事产生的具体的地点到底是在哪。但是在时间上呢，据学者考证，最早应该是出现在这个东汉时期，在《古诗19首》里面就开始已经提到说这个织女和牵牛之间的这种不可相会的爱情故事了。
The poem that appears under the title Far Away Herd Boy Star in the 19 Ancient Poems written in the Eastern Han Dynasty reads, "The herd boy and the beautiful girl are separated by a heavenly river, and they cannot talk to each other." In the poem, the poet personifies 2 stars in the sky and expresses his sympathy for 2 separated lovers. Weaving Girl star appears at its brightest in the 7th lunar month, and Herd Boy star is at its brightest in the 8th lunar month. Herd Boy star never catches up with Weaving Girl star. In ancient China, people likened the 2 stars to 2 lovers who could never be reunited. However, later the love story evolved to the point where it was given a happy ending more to the liking of the general public, even though in the happier version, the reunion of the 2 lasts for just a brief moment. The version of the story that has Herd Boy and Weaving Girl meeting on a bridge formed by magpies over the Heavenly River first appeared during the Wei and Jin dynasties. In an earlier version, Herd Boy drove a horse-drawn cart to meet Weaving Girl, while another version had the divine bird Jing Wei fill the river with pebbles so that Weaving Girl could walk over it. Some people even had Weaving Girl rowing a boat over the river to meet Herd Boy. The version in which magpies form a bridge first appeared during the Southern Dynasties period. In his poem entitled The Seventh Night of the Seventh Lunar Month, Yu Jianwu writes, "Magpies rubbed against each other to fill up the river." This refers to the meeting of Weaving Girl and Herd Boy, and it hints at why magpies are bald-headed. The heads of the magpies were rubbed bare of feathers, when they formed the Bridge for Weaving Girl. This version of the story has been carried on to the present day. As we mentioned, Vega appears directly in the east and is at its brightest in the 7th lunar month. And people in ancient China selected this month as the one in which Herd Boy is reunited with Weaving Girl. But why choose the 7th night of the 7th lunar month as the date for the meeting?
这个大概跟古人对于时间节点的选择是有关系的。就是说，最早的时候并不是在7月7号，而逐渐的到了大概在汉代的时候，就是说由这个特别的时间节点逐渐的集中到了一些重数上面，比如说元旦是1月1号，这个上巳是3月3号，端午是5月5号，重阳是9月9号，就是说这个七夕呢就逐渐的固定到7月7号。重七对于七是一个对于七的强调。
Of course, the Herd Boy and Weaving Girl never really existed. So if the story has no real protagonists, what is the connection with Yiyuan County?
牛郎织女传说怎么来到怡园的呢？它有一个非常清晰的一个历史脉络。根据现存于织女洞当中的明代万历7年的一块重修碑，这块碑的碑文上呢，提供了非常重要的信息。
Weaving Girl Cave, located on the eastern side of Dashan Mountain in Yiyuan, is 40 meters above ground level. Its original mouth was very wide, but as a result of later reconstruction work, the mouth was blocked off with a wall of stone and bricks featuring windows and a door. The door opens to the east. Inside the spacious cave, there is a statue of Weaving Girl flanked by 2 stone tablets marking 2 renovations of the cave. One renovation was carried out in the 7th year of the Wanli period of the Ming dynasty, and the other took place in the 15th year of the same period. A note on one tablet reads, "People in the Tang dynasty heard the sound of a loom in the cave, and they named the cave Weaving Girl Cave."
就是说，现在我们说织女洞存在的很久远了。明代的人说，唐代人就说了，这个织女洞里面有像织布机的那种喳喳的声音，所以把这个洞就命名为织女洞。这个织女是不是这个牛郎织女的织女呢？未必，很可能就是当地的一个普通的民间妇女在家里面织布的时候，她那个也是发出这种声音，那么这个女的也叫织女。
Throughout the spring and autumn period, the Warring States period, the Han Dynasty and the Tang Dynasty, Shandong Province was the world's largest producer of silk. In fact, most of the silk exported to the west via the Silk Road came from Shandong. One ancient book tells us, "Everywhere is planted in mulberry trees. Every household raises silkworms and weaves silk fabric, and the sound of looms can be heard all the time." This was an accurate description of the province's flourishing silk production industry. In a farming society in which men were mainly engaged in farming and women in weaving, the term weaving girl became a synonym for women. From October 2005 to August 2008, Professor Ye Tao, director of the Folklore Institute of Shandong University, along with his postgraduate students, spent nearly 3 years in Yiyuan County conducting field studies on the legend of Herd Boy and Weaving Girl. They compiled their findings in a major article under the title Yiyuan Volume, The Chinese Legend of Herd Boy and Weaving Girl. To the surprise of many, it was found that the story of Herd Boy and Weaving Girl was not one story, but 2, and the 2 stories, one about Herd Boy and the other about Weaving Girl, were not set in the same period. It took some time before they merged to become one tale.
说织女洞是在先的，那么织女洞出现之后，到了 明代的万历6年，当时的县令到这儿来的时候，和当时大仙山上的道士在谈天论地，就讲到这个地方的时候，他就说：“你这儿有织女洞，好像还缺点什么。”这个道士就领悟了知县的这种点化，他就募捐，在织女洞下面颐和的对岸修建了，当时碑文上叫牛宫，就是我们现在所说的牛郎庙。
It is obvious that the county magistrate gave the Taoist monks the hint to build a temple to match a cave known as Weaving Girl Cave that was already in existence. The construction of Herdboy Temple then gave rise to the folk tale about the love between Herdboy and Weaving Girl. The original Herdboy Temple was demolished in the 1950s or 1960s. And from the many stone inscriptions found at the site, along with the foundations of no less than 3 courtyards, it is easy to see that the temple was very large. The Yihe River flows past Dashan Mountain from south to north. Herdboy Temple and Weaving Girl Cave on opposite sides of the river fit in with the folktale very well. The two lovers are indeed separated by a river. The inscription on the stone tablet erected in the Wanli period of the Ming dynasty, recording the construction of Weaving Girl Cave, reads in part, "Ox Temple stands across the river. The two spots created a celestial body and an earthly form."
就是说，天上牛郎织女2颗星星隔着银河，那么在地上呢，在我们怡园这个地方呢，织女在织女洞，牛郎在牛郎庙，当中隔着怡河，也就像隔着银河，所以是在天成象，在地成形。所以这个自然景观和这种天象的这种相符，或者说和我们这个民间传说的这种相符，也是牛郎织女传说能够在怡园落地生根的一个重要原因。
应该说，这个传说在全国各地，在许多地方都有，而且不仅有这个传说，是广为大家所传颂的这样一个脍炙人口的作品。同时呢，很多地方也都把它看作是就发生在自己身边的事。那么像这样的情况，比如说在陕西，比如说在山西，比如说在河北，到处可见。但是，我觉得在怡园这个地方，就有所不同的是，它不仅把自己的周围的这样一个自然环境纳入到这样一个传说里面去，这样一种联系方式，实际上是把这样一个传说直接变得鲜活，直接变得有生命了。
In August 2007, the Chinese Folklore Society named Yiyuan County the hometown of the legend of Herdboy and Weaving Girl. In March 2008, the Chinese Folklore Society set up the China Research Center of the legend of Herdboy and Weaving Girl in Yiyuan County. On June 7, 2008, the State Council examined applications for the second group of state-level intangible cultural heritage sites from a dozen places around China and approved just 2. One was from Yiyuan County in Shandong Province, and the other was from Heshun County in Shanxi Province. Both sites are related to the legend of Herdboy and Weaving Girl. A line in a poem reads, "The heavenly stairway is as cool as water at night. I sit on it to watch Herdboy and Weaving Girl." The sad yet romantic story is like a sorrowful yet beautiful song, and it still touches people today as much as it did more than 1,000 years ago.
On late summer nights, 2 bright stars can be seen on opposite sides of the Milky Way. They are Altair and Vega, better known to the Chinese as Niulang and Zhinyu. Many hundreds of years ago, it was perhaps inspired by the same beautiful sky that people created the romantic love story of the herd boy and weaving girl. You see, among the ancient Chinese, their ideal of an idyllic life had the husband working in the fields and the wife staying at home to weave. So the story of the herd boy and the weaving girl describes the popular vision of true love and happiness. With that, we come to the end of today's program, and thank you for staying with us on New Frontiers. I'm Ji Xiaojun from CCTV International. Goodbye.